Today we're going to talk about some pressing matters on Cool Tools Monday. This episode was inspired by getting some questions about the Oliso iron and from my experience working with wool shirting during my shirt jacket class last weekend. So I got a couple questions via email from a few different people about whether or not I like my Oliso iron. And I responded to them already, but I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit because I don't normally point out how fabulous this iron is when I'm in class and I'm ironing and I'm working with it. There are so many things that I love about the Oliso iron. I thought it would be kind of cool to include it in the Cool Tools series I'm working on because, of course, an iron is one of the most important tools a sewer has. And getting a good iron can make the job a lot easier. I want to talk about a few things that make the Oliso iron a perfect choice. Now this model is the TG1600 Pro, and it's got some things on it that are very unique to irons. The first thing and the most obvious thing is it's got little feet that pop up or pop down when you let go of the handle, and that prevents you from scorching your fabric. So right out of the gate, this iron is Jennifer proof. I put my hand on it, the sole plate lowers to the surface, and I can start pressing. If I'm done pressing, I can take my hand off and the iron pops back up. That is an amazing feature because then I don't have to worry about, setting it up like this. I can just leave it flat. It's less likely to get knocked over. Very, very nice. The cord in the back of this iron swivels, so it makes it easy to not have to fight with your cord. Plus it's 12 feet long. So you can take this iron and iron things. You can bring it over to your ironing board. You can bring it back over to your pressing surface, all from one outlet, which I think is very cool. It's also got auto shut off, so if you haven't been using it for a while, it turns off. And there's a very nice indicator light up at the top here. If it's red, it's not ready. If it's blinking green, it's warming up. And if it's green, it's ready to go. It also has all of your typical settings, so we can go from a minimum heat to synthetics, to wool and silk, to linen and cotton, and it has 4 different steam settings from no steam, so a dry iron, to a little steam, a little more steam, and full blast steam. And then of course, who doesn't love having the choice of either pressing this button to get steam out of it or pressing the squirter button to actually mist your fabric when you need a little bit more moisture on your fabric to press it. So fabulous iron. Another thing that I think makes this iron amazing is the diamond ceramic flow sole plate. This glides across a variety of different fabrics, making it very easy to pressure all your different surfaces. I love it. Again, we've got our little pop-up legs. Of course, I'm telling you all of the pros with this iron. There is one con. When you grab your iron, you have to wait for the legs to go down before you start rubbing. Because if you grab it and go, you can see it's got a rough takeoff. Watch, I'll do it again. So you can dig into your fabric, probably cause some wrinkles in there that you'll have to then press back out. So just take your time and grab your iron, wait for it to completely lower, then start pressing. So this is an amazing iron. I'm going to show you 2 different things that I think are also very important for using an iron and pressing. So again, I'm wearing my latest shirt jacket. This is Pendleton wool, and I haven't worked with wool shirting before, so I was kind of surprised. It's a lightweight fabric, and you can see here I've pressed this edge up like I'm going to do a hem, and you can see it's not laying flat. And what I did to press it was I just did my typical pressing thing. I let it cool, and then after it cooled, the crease was not completely set. What I realized is, working with this type of fabric, and there are probably other fabrics that are like this as well, if you're working on a fabric that doesn't like to hold a crease, and you're struggling to hold a crease, this is going to be sort of a dual action cool tool. This is a Taylor's Point Press clapper. The clapper part is this block of wood that I have here, and if you're wondering what all those little dots are, that's burn marks that I put in there for a story I don't want to talk about, but it still works completely fine. It doesn't transfer onto my fabric. But basically, this is a piece of hardwood that traps the heat. So if you're trying to press a fabric like wool shirting that doesn't like to hold its crease, what you can do is you can press it, and I'm just pressing it, I'm heating it up, giving it a little steam, and then I'm going to remove the iron and I'm going to trap the heat with my clapper, and that's going to set the crease. So you can get these that are just a block of wood, and I'm going to put links in the description for the Oliso iron on Amazon if you don't live near a dealer to get one. Also, I'm going to put links to a clapper like this that's got the Taylor point on it, and also just one that's a plain block of wood, so you have options. But basically now, look at how nice and flat this is. Like literally, I can't get it to stay up. And once it's cool, it'll still stay nice like that because I trapped the heat. So again, if I'm doing like a double fold, I'm going to show you again here. I'm just going to press down one more time. This is a really nice way to protect your fabric and create a crease, because some fabrics can't take the full weight and heat of the iron long enough to create that crease. So just heating it up and then pressing on it with a clapper makes the perfect crease.
A few moments later.
I'm just going to hold it for another couple of seconds. So look at how nice and flat that is. So nice and flat, perfect crease. And this, taking the time to really set your seams and press your hem allowances and your seam allowances will create a much more professional looking garment. So I highly recommend pressing as you go and using a clapper to trap heat to get those stubborn fabrics that don't like to crease well to behave. And if you're looking for a new iron, I highly recommend this Oliso 1600 Pro Plus iron. It is amazing. This iron is probably 5 years old now. I can attest to the fact that it works, and it continues to work after you purchase it. So it's a workhorse iron. It comes in a lot of cool colors. I have the pink one, but you can get it in yellow and baby blue and magenta. It's a very, very nice iron. If you're looking for a new iron, consider the Oliso, because it's Jennifer proof and you won't be scorching the surfaces of your ironing board and your pressing mats, because it pops up to keep the hot surface off of your pressing surface when you're not ironing. So I just want to show you one other thing here. This part of the clapper, or the Taylor's point turner, is very, very nice if you're working on collars. So again, I spent several weeks teaching my shirt jacket class, and I can tell you that having this makes working with a collar so much nicer, because we can really get in there and press our seams right up to the point. So you can see here, I've put my collar that I've already sewn, I've graded my seam allowances already, and I can use the very top of this as my little mini pressing surface, and it's going to allow me to first press my seam allowances open along the top or outer edge of my collar, and I can get right up to that tip, which is really, really nice. It's hard to do this if you don't have this wooden point presser here. Just give this a nice press on both ends. And you can see it just makes it very nice to work with. And I can get right up to the very tip. Right, and then I can do the short ends as well. So if I want to do the short ends, I can put them on like this, so I can get to that point from both directions. Okay, so after I press my seam allowances open, what I'm going to do is actually press these little short seam allowances on the end of the collar, on the short ends. I'm going to press those in, and that's going to help me get a really nice point on this. So let me just finish pressing it so I can show you. You know, and I'm sure you can probably think of some other small areas that this would come in handy. So now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to take the small end and I'm going to press both of them up along the stitching line like this, right up to the point. You know, and then if I want to really make that nice, I can get my clapper on there and I can give it a nice crease. Look at how nice and flat that stays. And of course, these are very short seam allowances because I've already graded them, but I can still press and make a nice edge here. I'm pressing the two ends of my collar down. I'm just gonna trap that in the heat just for a second. So now I'm just going to use this little wooden point turner here. I'm just going to turn my collar out to the right side. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to poke into my tip of my collar, but I want you to notice what a nice shape that makes. That's one point. Now this is not super duper sharp because I'm working with super heavy ultra suede as my undercollar, so it is a little bit of a bulky fabric that I'm working with. So for a bulky fabric, I would say that's a very nice corner to have. So I'm going to just do the other side here. And I'm just gently coaxing it. Pressing that side end in really helps to create a nice shape in there because it's already, you know, the seam allowances are already pressed in, so it makes a nice shape. But you can see I didn't have to work very hard to make a pretty nice shaped tip to my collar. Now I'm just going to give you one other tip since we're featuring an iron today. I'm not really a fan of understitching my collar, and the reason why is because I'm going to top stitch it in place later. So to get the facing to stay to the underside, when I iron, I'm going to roll the fabric so that I'm literally rolling the garment fabric or the collar fabric so it rolls over the edge a little bit like this. And I'm going to iron from the top side because I don't want to press the iron on my ultra suede. So you can see here I'm trapping the ultra suede under by rolling the edge of the collar under. And then after I heat this side up to get it to stay nice, I'm going to use my clapper and I'm going to give that edge of the collar a really nice crease, and I'm going to have a beautiful collar. And I'm kind of excited. I'm doing this Cool Tools, showing you all about irons and pressing tools, but this is the jump start for my dad's Christmas present because this collar is going on my dad's shirt jacket for Christmas. So this is like two birds with one stone for me today. So I'm just going to heat that up and trap the heat, and that helps to set the crease and make a beautiful shaped edge. All right, so now I'm just going to turn it over so you can see. What you want to see when you turn it over is you want to see a little like 1/16 of an inch edge of the fashion fabric rolling to the wrong side like that. So see what a nice edge that is? And then I can do the same thing on the short ends. Oh, and truth be told, when I cut out my undercollar, I cut it a 1/4 inch shorter and I stretched it to fit, and that helps the facing stay on the, or the undercollar to stay underneath as well. But you can see this makes a beautiful collar. So see how nice that is? Let me just do this last side over here. And then I'm going to show you one more pressing tool. It's my mom's ham. I think it's older than me. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that right there. And I'm going to bring over my ham because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that. Next week, I'm going to do a part 2 for ironing tools. And I will talk about the ham more next week. But what I want to show you here is if you're working on a collar, you're not trying to bang it out in one day. Here's another tip to shape that collar. So if you take the collar, wrap it around your ham, almost like you're dressing your ham up with the collar, it will help it start to form the shape. And then when you sew the collar stand on, I will put it on here as well. But you can see all I have to do now is just stick a few pins in here. And what's happening is it's getting the idea that it's going to be in a circle in its final resting position. So I always wrap my collars either around the neck of my dress form or around my ham to get the shape of that going. So again, after I finish this collar up by adding the collar stand, I will sit it on here, fold it into position. So when it's time to put it onto the shirt, it's got the shape sort of like a muscle memory kind of a thing. And it just makes it go on nicer and it looks nice. The thing I want to show you about the ham today is you can use it to get your collar to start to understand what its job is. And what I mean by that is I'm going to, for now, store this collar wrapped around my ham like this. It's going to sort of let this collar know that its future life is going to be resting in a circle position. So after I get the collar stand on, I will set this up on here and let the fold of the collar settle in place, and it will be ready to go when it's time to put onto the neckline of the shirt. So sort of pre-staging your collar onto your ham or the neck of your dress form will help it sort of give it muscle memory, I guess, so it knows what its job is going to be, and it helps create a nice shape before you sew it onto your shirt. So next week, I'm going to be talking more about some pressing tools, including how to use a ham to press shapes, including showing how to use the ham to press shapes without smashing them, and a couple other pressing tools. So this is a 2-part cool tools for pressing, featuring the Oliso iron and the clapper for today, or the Taylor point turner, but I will be sharing more things with you next week. I feel like pressing is such an important part of sewing, and it really elevates the look of your garment. So I want to make sure I share all the things that can help you do a better job when you're pressing your garments, starting with a quality iron and then adding a few things that can help you get great results. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Cool Tools. Check the links below if you're looking for any of these tools or for an Oliso iron. And join me tomorrow for Fit Tip Tuesday. We're going to be talking about darts and how to rotate them around the edge of your bodice. And then Friday is going to be a special episode of FabFit Friday. I'm having a special guest with me, and I will reveal who that is tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you again soon.